Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about two different things that we shouldn't have to talk about. Now here on YouTube and Rumble, we're going to talk about Biden's new office for essentially disarmament. And then after that, we're going to head over to Mug Club and talk about the update on the impeachment of the New Mexico governor and basically how that's going, how you can go support it. And if you guys are interested in checking out that exclusive Mug Club content, you can sign up. Link here on your screen, as well as a discount code that will get you guys a free month. Lots of other creators over there. But moving on to the topic for today's free video, which is, of course, President Biden, to quote it correctly, announcing the first federal office dedicated to preventing gun violence, also known as the Ministry of Disarmament, since this nation is turning ever more each day into the former USSR. It's probably more appropriate to call it the Ministry of Disarmament rather than the office of whatever he wants to say it is. So essentially, what is this new office? Well, it's going to be, of course, within the executive branch because that's what the president controls. And then it's going to fall under the Department of Justice. Where in the Department of Justice, we don't know yet. But according to the announcement, activists say the new office will help the administration coordinate across the federal government on gun-related matters, and it will help President Biden to exert leadership on gun violence prevention. So the way I take that is that it's going to be an organization within the Department of Justice that essentially talks to all the different agencies and tries to unlawfully coordinate all the different information and create different things that agencies are prevented from doing. So for example, just as a really easy one to kind of see, the Department of Treasury has access to a lot of purchase information on guns, serial numbers, things like that, credit card statements, bank statements. The ATF, of course, has access to 4473s. They can coordinate those two pieces of information to create their gun registry a little bit stronger than it already is. Now, of course, the ATF already maintains a gun registry through the 4473 system that they don't call that, but it absolutely is that. And this just allows them to make it stronger with the cross-coordination between government agencies. Now, who is going to be running this organization? Well, that's really where this story goes, and in my opinion is the biggest, I guess, news item of this, because while they say that it's to prevent gun violence, that's absolutely not true. What they're doing is they're setting up a system similar to what the FDA has with Big Pharma. So just, you guys can Google it if you don't believe me, if you've never heard of it. But essentially, all the pharmacy executives at the big pharma corporations, the CEOs, the heads of those organizations, very often will go back and forth with either the FDA for positions or the NIH. And that way they ensure that they can enrich each other through government taxpayer funding. Once they get out and go into the private sector, then come back into the public sector, pay their old friends, etc. Well, that's exactly what they're doing here with this system here. So what are they doing? Well, it says Stephanie Feldman, a top Biden aide, will lead the new office, according to the Post. The Community Justice Action Fund, Greg Jackson, and Everytown for Gun Safety, Rob Wilcox, leaders of the two prominent gun control groups, are also expected to hold key roles. So for those who don't know, those are two rabid anti-gun organizations that are trying to disarm you, the American citizen, in any way possible. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're setting up these government positions where they have, influence they shouldn't have as unelected federal bureaucrats that are going to obviously funnel money towards the organizations that they come from to prevent gun violence. And then, 2 or 3 years later, they'll go back to that organization, they'll cycle in a couple new activists and enrich themselves. So that is exactly what they're going to do. And continuing to scroll down in the announcement, we learn where the authorization and funding for this comes from. So it comes from the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which we've discussed many times here on the channel. This has done a number of things. One thing it's done that we talked about is that it actually sends funding for red flag enforcement to states that do or do not have red flag laws. So if it has red flag laws, the federal government is funding it, even though they're prevented from doing so by other laws at the federal government. But this act says they can do it. Obviously, this is where they're getting the authorization for and funding for these positions within the Department of Justice. This Communities Act, the Safer Communities Act, also is what is empowering the ATF to believe that they can prevent private transfers by forcing everyone to become an FFL. We've talked about that here on the channel if they want to sell a gun. And then looking into the article, just quote it real quick. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act increased background checks for gun buyers under 21. That's true. It absolutely did do that. And allocated money to states to implement red flag laws, which I just mentioned. It also allocated billions of dollars for mental health and school safety programs. Proponents touted it as the first gun control legislation signed into law in about 30 years, which is absolutely true. And again, the Republicans supported that, many did, as well as the Democrats. So they are to blame. So there is that. Obviously, all the Republicans who voted for it, we will put a list down below to the Republicans who voted for it. You guys can feel free to contact them. But that really is it. We don't know exactly what this office is going to do, but as we know, with government creep and expansion, it is not going to be good. And again, they're going to be working with all of the anti-gun groups to see how they can strip your rights away from you. And honestly, that's all I have for this portion of the video. Again, we're going to head over to Mug Club next and talk about the update to the impeachment for the New Mexico governor. But that's about it, guys. If you like this type of video, unfortunately, we do them all the time. We have a helicopter hovering over my head right now. But unfortunately, we do these videos all the time because there are people every day trying to... Sorry, we had to let that helicopter go by because it just got too loud. But as I was saying, we do these videos all too often. And if you're not subscribed, but you like this type of video, definitely hit the subscribe button. Additionally, guys, if you are not signed up for my daily deals email, you can always do that as well. On a more positive note, we send that out every day, and that contains 6 to 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet on guns, ammunition, optics, etc. And you can sign up for it at the link here on your screen. It also contains a good meme that a lot of folks like as well. And then if you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit the notification bell, and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, make sure you sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. It's a totally different list. This one just goes out once a month, and it has all of my videos since the previous email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. And I think that's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching. Piss off, YouTube.